Lesson number 5. Today we are going to continue what we have started last time, which is the study of the English tenses. Today we are going to introduce a new tense, which is the present perfect tense. So this is lesson number 5, the present perfect tense. As usually, we start by giving a rule or a formula according to which we can know how to form the present perfect tense. So basically we always start with the subject, then after the subject we have either have or has, depending on the subject of the sentence. Then we have the third form of the verb, that is the past participle, then the rest of the sentence. So basically the form of the verb is the one that matters, that we have either have or has. If the subject is he, she, it, we have has. If it is they, we, you, I, we have. Then we have the third form of the verb, that is the past participle, then we have the rest of the sentence. Let's have some example. So example number 1 says, we have finished our work. He has broken his leg. This introduces us to the idea of regular and irregular verbs. So in the case of regular verb, we only add ed to the end of the verb to make it third form, or just d depending on the verb. And the other type of verb is irregular verbs, and those verbs have their specific forms which we need to actually know or remember or memorize. So in the first example we have finished our work, so we have the perfect form of the verb have. We choose have because the subject is plural, and we have chosen has in the second example because the subject is singular. So as you can see, the verb break is the present form, broke, and what we have here is broken. Finish, finished. So basically present perfect verb form start with the subject, have or has depending on the number of the subjects. Then we have the third form of the verb, that is the past participle verb form. Now typically this tense is considered to be difficult, specifically to students of Arabic. Why do students think that the present perfect is not easy tense to understand, a tense that is difficult? Well, number one, because it describes the present and the past activities. Now if you think of the term the present perfect, you will find that this term present perfect, we know that when we say something is present, it happens now in the present, and perfect something that has happened or finished. So this basically indicates that we have actions that are present and perfect, or they are the tense itself can describe actions that happened in the present or in the recent present, or in the past or near the past or closer to the present. This makes the tense a little bit difficult or confusing. How come that we have present perfect? So something that is present and perfect at the same time, present and perfected, completed. So that's why we think, or students tend to think that this tense is a little bit confusing, but basically it is not confusing. Number 2, there is no equivalent tense in Arabic, and that's why we always, when we learn any tense, we try to transfer the same idea into Arabic and see whether we have the same idea. But basically we do not have present perfect tense in Arabic, and that's why the tense seems a little bit confusing to some students. Let's see how this description of present and past event is explained. When do we use the present perfect tense? Number 1, we use the present perfect tense with unspecified time before now. So when we have an action and we do not know the time at which this action has happened, it is preferred to use the present perfect tense rather than the simple past, because in the simple past our concentration, our focus point is on the timing of the action, and that the action happened in the past, at a particular point where we know the exact time of the action, happened yesterday, 2 days ago, etc. But when it comes to the present perfect, we are not really interested in the time, rather we are interested in whether the action has happened or not. So we use the present perfect in unspecified time before now, that's before the present. So number one, the present perfect tense is used with actions that happened at an unspecified time before now, where the exact time is not really important. Let's take some example. So if you consider an example we study according to the time line that we have introduced last time, where we have anything before the present is called the past, after the present is the future. Example number one, Sally has cleaned the house. So we have not identified the time at which cleaning the house has happened, that Sally cleaned the house at this particular time. The time is not really important, the time is unspecified, it just happened before now. We are not really much concerned about the time, we are concerned about whether the action happened or not. So the time is not, the exact time is not really important, the action itself is important, and this is one of the main uses of the present perfect tense. Number two, the boys have broken the window. So the action happened before now, this is for sure. It is not in the present, it is not in the future, it has happened before the present. We are not really interested in the timing of the action, in the breaking of the window, what exact time has the breaking of the window has happened. This is not the focus of the tense. The focus of the tense is whether the action happened or not. So in the present perfect, our concentration, our focal point, our concern is whether the action has happened or not. We are not really interested in the timing or in the exact time of the action. So as you can see in this diagram, the action happened just before the present, within a time frame of course, but the time is not really specified. We are not really interested in knowing the exact time of the action, whether it is cleaning the house or breaking the window according to our examples. The second use of the symbol of the present perfect tense is with experience that we had in the past. Similarly, we concentrate on the experience. We concentrate whether somebody has the experience or did not really have the experience. So we are not really, excuse me, concerned. We are not very much interested in the timing of the experience but rather we are interested that whether we have the experience or somebody has the experience or not. So number one, let's say, let's have the first example. Sally has lived in Saudi Arabia. Number two, we have been to England. Now those two examples, example number one for example, tells us that Sally has lived in Saudi Arabia. She has the experience of living in Saudi Arabia. So we are interested about the experience that somebody had before now. Somebody had in the time that is before the present, but the time is not really specified. We are not really concerned with the timing, the exact timing of the action. We are interested, we are concerned with whether the action or whether the experience is really happened or not, or whether the person has the experience or not. So in the first example, Sally has lived in Saudi Arabia, it means that Sally has the experience of living in Saudi Arabia. Example number two is exactly the same. We have been to England. This again tells the reader that we, or the subject of this sentence, have the experience of being in England. Without really identifying the time of the experience, we know that the experience is before now or before the present, but we are not really much interested in the exact time of the experience itself. Our interest is the experience itself, whether it happened or not. So we are not interested in when the experience took place, we are interested in whether we have the experience or not. So the timing or the exact timing of having the experience is not the focus of the present perfect tense. The focus of the tense is whether the action happened or not, whether the person has the experience or not. it is before now. It does not have a specified time, but what is important is that it happened, and the person or somebody or something has this experience, or the action have happened before unspecified time before the present, but not exactly identifying or telling the time of the experience or of the action. The third usage of the present perfect tense is where we indicate change or new information. When something happened or when a new information occur, we tell the person, or we use the present perfect tense to indicate this change in a situation or in the expressing of new information. So we use the present perfect to express a change that has happened over a period of time, or to express new information. Let's take the example. Number one, they have become more interested in art education. Sally has bought a new car. The prices have gone up. Now, if you consider the first example, what does it indicate? They have become more interested in the education. So we have a change in their interest. We have a change in the idea of their interest. So they have become more interested. So this indicates that there is a change that has happened over a period of time. Probably before that they were interested in something else, but now they have become more interested in art education. So what does this sentence is telling me is that there is a change that has happened over a period of time. While if you consider the second and third example, you will find that somebody or the speaker is giving me a piece of new information, information that is new to me, that I have not really known before. She has bought a car, or Sally has bought a car. So somebody is informing me or telling me something new, or new information that Sally has bought a car. Notice that the form of the verb is has bought. We use has because the subject is singular, that is Sally. Then the verb buy, bought, bought, which is the third form of the verb, or the past participle verb form. So Sally has bought a car. Again, we notice that the time is not indicated. We are not really interested in the time. We are interested in telling the person this new event, or this new action, or this new information. The prices have gone up. So again, somebody is telling me a new piece of information, or expressing to me that this information, which is new to me, or I have not I have not known this before. So somebody is telling me new information that the prices have gone up. Again, the subject is prices, which is a plural subject. We choose the present form of the verb has, where it is in the plural. We use have, not has. And the third form of the verb go, went, gone, which is an irregular verb. So the prices have gone up. Sally has bought a car. Both sentences indicate or express new information. Now let's talk about the fourth usage of the present perfect tense, which is the duration from the past until now. So when the action happened at a particular time in the past until the time of the present, or until now, we use the present perfect tense. And these uses, this particular use of the present perfect tense, is identified or is distinguished by the use of the two particles, that is for and since, and we are going to see how to distinguish between them, and when to use for and when to use since. So duration from the past until now. We use the present perfect to show that something started in the past and has continued up until now, until the present, but not after the present. So started at a time in the past and it continues until now. Let's take the example and try to understand this action according to the timeline that we used to use when we express tenses: before the present, after the present, past, and future. So they have been here for 15 minutes. So when we try to understand this sentence, we will notice that they are still here, that they are at the present, they are still here. But when they start is when their existence has been realized, it is since the past, or since 15 minutes in the past. So the action of the present perfect tense try to explain the duration that started from the past until now. So they have been here for 15 minutes. So if you consider the timeline, they have been here since 15 minutes, that is when they started, but they are still here until now, until the present. So the action is indicated by the present perfect tense because it indicates a duration of time from the past until the present, until now. So let's have another example. Sally has studied English since she was a little girl. So she was a little girl, that is something that happened in the past. So since that time, since she was a little girl, until now she studies English. So Sally has studied English since she was a little girl. So again, the present perfect is used here to indicate the duration that happened from the past until now, until the moment of speak, until the present. So the action happened or started to happen when Sally was a little girl. Then it continued, there was a duration of this action from the time that Sally was a little girl until now, until the present. So one of the uses, or the fourth use of the present perfect tense, to indicate action that, to indicate the duration of action that has started at some point in the past and continued up until now. So if you want to understand this through the timeline that we have a point where the action started, that is in the when Sally was a little girl, and it has continued. There was a duration for this time, and it reached until the present moment, until now, the present. Now, how to distinguish between since and for? When do you use for and when do you use since? Let's have the examples and read the explanation that indicate the different and use. Example number 1, they have been here for 15 minutes. Sally has studied English since she was a little girl. Now if you notice in the first example where we talk about a period of time, we use for, while in the second example, Sally has studied English since she was a little girl. The use of since here is used to talk about a point in the past. So we indicated a point in the past, that is when Sally was a little girl. So since that time, the action has started, while we use form where we talk about a period of time. That is, for example, in our example, only 15 minutes. So the word for is used in the present perfect tense to talk about a period of time. And our example here talk about a period of time which is 15 minutes. Sally has become here, they have been here for 15 minutes. While we use since, we use the word since in the present perfect tense when we refer or when we talk about a point in time that is not a period of time. So period of time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 day, 1 week, 1 year, etc. So there is a period of time that we have specified in the past until now, if you still remember the use of the present perfect tense in the previous example, while we use the term or the word for in the present perfect where we indicate a point in time. For example, Sally has studied English since she was a little girl. Since she was, for example, in the 4th grade of her high school or elementary school. So we have identified a point in time, and then we use for, and we use since when we use or when we indicate or when we point to a period of time, a duration of time. Let's talk about how to form the negation and making question of the present perfect tense. This is something that we also need to understand. Forming the negative sentences in the present perfect tense. What do we use if we have a sentence that is affirmative? typical sentence. It is not a question, it is not a negative sentence, and we want to change this sentence into the negative. What do? We add the negation particle, that is not, after have or has, depending on the sentence, and the sentence automatically becomes a negated sentences. For example, if I have a sentence like Sally has studied English, basically just adding the negation particle after the present perfect form, that is has. So Sally has not studied English. And the table that you have in this slide shows you how we make negative sentences, taking into consideration that we have all the type of subject or subject, pronoun, subject. So I have not studied English, you have not studied English, we have not studied English, they have not studied English. So basically we are just adding the negation particle not after have or has, depending on the sentence. He has not studied English, she has not studied English, etc. What about forming question sentences in the present perfect? Now similarly, as we have done in the previous tenses, when it comes to forming questions, we need to make inversion between subject and the verb, or basically in this example between the subject and have and has. So what we do, we just place have or has before the subject and add the question mark at the end. Example, so if you have a sentence like Sally has studied English again, so Sally is the subject, has is the verb. To make the sentence into a question, we reverse the places, or we replace has, which is the verb, in the place of the subject, and we put the subject after has. So the sentence has a verb subject order rather than subject verb order. So Sally has studied English would become has Sally studied English. If we have a plural subject, for example, they have studied English, we also reverse have and the subject they. So have they studied English. This table again shows have I studied English. So the original sentence I have, but when we make the sentence into a question, we reverse the subject and the verb. So have or has comes at the beginning of the sentence, then we have the main subject of the sentence. Have I studied English? Have you studied English? Have we studied English? Have they studied English? Similarly, in the case of have, has he studied English? Has she studied English? Has it studied English? And we do not forget that there is a question mark to indicate the question at the end of the sentence. Let's have some practice. So in the case of the verb go, for example, we want to apply this to the different forms of the present perfect tense. So we have the affirmative sentence, he has gone to Mecca. If we want to make the sentence negative, we only place the negation particle not after has, so he has not gone to Mecca. If we want to make the sentence a question, we reverse the subject and the verb, so has becomes first, or has come to the beginning of the sentence, followed by the subject. So has he gone to Mecca? And of course we do not forget the question mark at the end of the sentence to indicate the question. What about the verb pass? He has passed his exam. That is the affirmative sentence. So we have the subject he, we have the form of the present perfect tense form has, because the subject is singular. He has passed his exam. Now try to change the sentence into a negative. We only insert the negation particle not after has. He has not passed his exam. If we want to change the sentence into a question, again we make this inversion between the subject and the verb. So has he passed his exam? So again we add a question mark at the end of the sentence. Now let's see how to distinguish between for and since. We have not seen Sally for since or since 2 years. Which one to choose? We still remember we use for and since in the present perfect. and when we indicate a period of time we use for, while when we want to indicate a duration of time we use since. So we have not seen Sally for 2 years, so we have indicated a period of time in this sentence. So the right choice or the correct answer for this sentence is the particle for rather than since. So this brings us to the end of this lesson. We have talked about the present perfect tense, how it is used, how it is formed, and we have given a short idea of how the different uses of this tense, and we also talked about how to make the sentences into a negative or into question. Thank you very much. Hopefully next lecture we talk about the future tense and how we form the future, and we will realize that there is no future tense in English, rather we have ways that express the future tense, like shall and will, of course, the present symbol, where there is one usage of the simple present tense where we express the future, where the reference is to the future, and then we have a third or fourth way of indicating the future, that is when we use one form of verb to be followed by going to, that is he is going to, or is going to, be going to. So basically there is no future tense in English. So this is what we are going to discuss in lecture number 6. Thank you very much. This brings us to the end of this lecture. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.